Welcome to the Hunter's Full Moon. This is a special CIRF report on October 24th, 2018. I'm Chris McCleary, looking for the biggest influence, and we've got a ton of influence out there. And sometimes I start with the DreamBot, sometimes start with the astrology and numerology. I think I'm going to do day number 2 with the DreamBot, so work with me here. And the reason why is because I started yesterday's and it was all about men and men relationships, father, son, grandfather, that kind of thing. Today we have the women type of relationships. Now, of course, in the red arrows, you can see men, the word men in there. The red arrows is about relationships, but it's mostly female. So men, mother, wife, woman, to orientation, and remain. I put remain in there. I don't know if that belongs in there, but it almost suggests that relationships remain. So that's going to be a factor later, by the way. You know, we still have that Uranus big change happening, and so people are talking about possible loss of relationships, but it looks like the influence is more about remaining. So those relationships remaining. All right, and the blue arrows is like a show, like a theatrical show. View, initiate, parking, ticket, venue, seat, shows, and giant. I put giant in there. You know, I'm thinking if a giant is walking around, you're gonna definitely turn your head and gawk. So it's like a attention, whatever everyone's looking at, that kind of thing. And then lastly, let's look at identity and customize. Identity, remember that, okay? We're going to come back to that in our solution for the astrology. And there is a lot going on here. Look at 24, the numerology. Crisis or turmoil. Need I say any more? Where's that coming from? And well, we also see the crisis or turmoil in Moon conjunct Uranus. Uranus is all about change, and expectations may not be anywhere close to what really happens. All right, and that's the backdrop to the full moon, and the sun almost conjunct, very close conjunct with a retrograde Venus. That's probably where the female is coming from, the strong female influence in the DreamBot. But okay, so this is the Hunter's full moon, and you know, it is kind of go out and gather and go out and get your stuff and prepare for hard times, cold times, winter times, and get it all put away. And, you know, it's a feeding fest. Get out there and get what you need. This is Taurus, is all in, or at least the moon side is in Taurus. But in the backdrop to all this is a grand square. I didn't have it indicated because I didn't want it to get just too messy. But you have the north and the south nodes over here on this axis with the sun and the moon, and conjunct these two things that I talked about. There's a square here. So, you know, squares are kind of contentious. They're not your smooth flowing operations and smooth energy. So it might be overwhelming. You might have, if south node is more of your past, north node is more of your future and where you're headed. So you've got this battle going on between past and future, and it might be overwhelming. And then you've got Uranus that just changes everything, almost just forces you to be in the now if you do this right. So you can either be in the now in this crisis and turmoil and change, or you can go escape into addiction or all your other coping skills that maybe you've developed over the past few years. I suggest you stay in the now. Stay with the crisis turmoil, and we will talk next about what you're doing throughout that crisis. But one more thing here, we have Venus sextile Saturn, Saturn being very idealistic, almost practical, but almost sometimes if it's a square or a contentious aspect, is going to give you some obstacles so that you can figure out what the right way is around these problem sets. But in this case, very harmonious, and specifically because it's in attached to Venus, it's about growing, relationships and maybe even business relationships. Venus all about finances as well, but Venus retrograde. Interestingly enough, let's go back to circle all the way back to the numerology. And people are tending to use other people, so you're going to have to build some boundaries today. Now, I know I threw a ton of stuff out there, but the key aspects today are chaos, change, expectations. That's one. And relationships, particularly relationships with females or females in their relationships. It just does seem to be much more female oriented today. All right, with that, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about how to orchestrate this energy. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell so that you get notified. I kind of doubt that YouTube notifies everybody, but only because I hear other people complaining about this. Even if they hit the bell, they don't get notified. So, I don't know. Come visit by every day and get your new CIRF report. But, all right, with those influences, how do we go about surfing this? As I kind of alluded to, the big changes and expectations and overwhelm from past and present and that grand square can have you quickly going away to your happy place, which is a coping skill, which is an evasion. Not an evasion, it's a evading the problem, evading the conflict, or evading the change. It's almost a way of giving up. So, watch yourself and your urge to escape. It's escapism, it's avoidanceism, it's all these isms. So instead, be with that change. And more so, before we go any further, I want you to identify your highest values in your life. In other words, what matters the most to you in your life? And give, 2 to 3 to 4, maybe even 5 of your highest values in priority order. And hopefully they're not conflicted. That poses some problems. But some people say, my marriage is my highest value, or my financial well-being is or my family, or my kids, or my work, or my life mission, or God, or my religion, or my spirituality. Anything like that is kind of, it gives you, it cages your mind on what matters to you the most. And that way, when you do go through these chaotic times, these changes that could be happening, is the general influence, then you keep these values in the forefront of your mind as you progress through this change. And what you see on the other side is basically a new self. That's what this is a new self, because you remain true to yourself throughout this chaos. But so much, some of these chaotic situations can get so intense, especially now we've got Scorpio going on, so intense that you can't help but just evade and maybe go use drugs, or go drink it away, or just self-soothing. Maybe even just innocuous as watching a movie to get your mind off of this chaos over here. So hopefully you're not evading, and hopefully you're also keeping your highest values in the forefront of your mind before the chaos starts, so that you can end up going through this change with high self-esteem, good boundaries with those values, and then authentically orchestrating and behaving in a manner which is true to yourself. And on the other side, you feel confident that, wow, this is me. This is the real me. I made it through. I'm on the other side now. And everything's different, but I stayed true to myself. So that's my suggestion today. There's probably another hour's worth I could go off on, but I think that's probably the gist today. Plus, I'm getting a little long. So enjoy your day. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you again tomorrow. Whoops.